This is a very, very important issue, something that I know the Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Michael Martirano, and our Chief of Police, Gary Gardner, share with me the importance of making sure that our schools are places that our students, our teachers, our administrators, our families can feel safe and secure. There's nothing more important than making sure that our children are safe. And so as we've seen the tragedies in Parkland and Great Mills High School in Maryland and other places, I know the three of us up here and everyone in the community feel we cannot do anything but all that we have in our power to make sure our schools are safe. And so I'm pleased to be standing here with these gentlemen and pleased to have the support of the school system and our police department. I can tell you right now, we have never had a stronger relationship with the Howard County Public School System since I've been county executive. And I know that Dr. Martirano and his staff has been incredibly working hard to make sure that we do all that we can to ensure the safety of our students and the administrators, the teachers, and families. I have a couple comments to make, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Martirano and then to our Chief of Police, and then we'll have opportunity for some questions. As we've been looking at the school safety issue, been having a lot of discussions with Dr. Martirano and his staff, it's become apparent that there are some places where we need to improve. You know, our elementary schools, our middle schools have been pretty secure for years, but our high schools have had some issues. And so I've had discussions with Dr. Martirano and his staff, and after having those discussions, I've learned that they've been able to find some funds through other projects in the school system, but we've also agreed that we are going to, in my capital budget that will be provided to the County Council this Thursday, we'll be adding an additional $1.1 million to help with securing the high schools here in Howard County. They're already working on that. Dr. Martirano's team is working diligently to make that happen now, but we're putting extra money in so that they can make sure that all the doors, there might be some doors that maybe not locking properly, they're going to make sure that they are. They're going to make sure that everywhere in the schools are secure so that our kids can learn in a very safe environment. So that's number one priority, is to make sure that we have our schools secure, and we'll be putting that $1.1 million in the capital budget, in addition to other items too for their capital needs. The other thing I want to announce today is that in our operating budget, which will not go to the County Council until April 20th, we will be putting in funds to hire an additional 3 school resource officers for our middle schools and another supervisor to work with them as well. Right now we have 3 school resource officers in our middle schools. This will double the amount of school resource officers for our middle schools and adding that supervisor. Currently, we have all 12 high schools have school resource officers, and we've had that for quite some time, and we've had the 3 in the middle schools for a while. But we see the need, Dr. Martirano and the Chief of Police and I and others in our community, the need for more resource officers. And I think it's important to note that these school resource officers are not simply there for security. They're part of the community. My children have gone through the Howard County Public School System. 4 of my children went through Glenelg High School. All 4 of my children had a personal relationship with a school resource officer. It was somebody that they came to trust, they came to know personally, and it was part of the Glenelg community. That's what school resource officers do. They're not simply people there to protect, and they are to protect, no question about it, but they're to be part of our community, to be part of, committees. Like when my children were on the prom safety committee, it would be the school resource officer that would help students understand what could happen if you drink and drive and other ways in which you could harm yourself. And they're there to talk to kids about other issues as well. So I think it's incredibly important for our community policing policies and for the strength of our county and our community to have a great relationship with students, teachers, and our police officers. So I think it's a very big plus to have these additional school resource officers in our middle schools. We're looking forward to continuing that phased in over the next couple of years. We have 20 middle schools in Howard County. Currently, the 3 school resource officers serve 2 schools each. So that's 6 middle schools have some presence of a police officer. Now we'll be doubling that, so we'll be up to 12 middle schools will have some presence of a police officer, so more than half of them. And hopefully in the next couple of years we'll have a school resource officer in each middle school. So those are the key comments that I wanted to make. But more than anything else, I want you to know that when I heard about some of the things that need to be fixed, it keeps you up at night. It keeps you up at night. And that's the last thing you want to do, is to ever be the county executive or the superintendent or the chief of police and to find out that there's been something that happening in one of our schools. So for me, I just couldn't let that happen. And so I'm glad that, that Dr. Martirano and his staff has worked with me so closely to do this. And so I'm very excited by the fact that our students and our teachers in our high schools, as well as our middle and elementary schools, should feel secure in the buildings that they have because the county and the school system care about them. With that, I'm going to turn it over now to Dr. Michael Martirano. He says interim superintendent of schools. I just say superintendent of schools.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, County Executive Kittleman, for your leadership. Chief Gardner, it's a pleasure to be standing here with you as well. What we want to convey is a united, collaborative process with our county executive, the superintendent, and the chief of police, all working together on behalf of the safety of our 56,000 young people. In Howard County, our public school system houses 56,000 young people, and our parents count on us to keep them safe every day. Also, we need to make certain that we are keeping our staff safe as well. The Howard County Public School System employs 12,000 full-time and part-time individuals who also count on us to do the right thing by keeping them safe. Last month, hundreds of Howard County citizens gathered at River Hill High School and called county leaders to do all that we can to ensure the safety of our school buildings. This is the most important issue that we can do as leaders, is to take care of our children and our staff. We are responding quickly, and every action we take is done so that the sole purpose is keeping our children safe. I want to thank our county executive once again for the commitment that he has just presented, and our chief of police, Gardner, who stood with me on stage last month, committed to doing all that we can, and today we are beginning to see the fulfillment of those promises. Creating a safe and welcoming learning environment requires the efforts of everybody, and let me emphasize everybody. It takes a total community, as I laid out our very clear plan for how we're going to increase the safety and security of our schools. Strong leadership from our school administrators and staff, comprehensive and effective student supports, proper professional learning around diversity and restorative practices, and strong partnerships with our families and community partners. It is extremely clear that there is just not one solution. It is a multi-pronged process. So as we think about our technologies and our hardware and our software, we have to bolster that with our communications and making certain that our community is communicating with us every day. And then also tending to the mental health issues that we have within our community. And we're seeing more evidence and more incidents of that occurring at our elementary level, in our middle school level, and our high school level. And quite frankly, as I've said very publicly, we're not equipped to handle that. And so our budgets contain additional support to provide social workers to provide those enhancements necessary to respond at a level of urgency. We've already begun the process of installing the buzzer systems that we've talked about in our elementary schools and middle schools. But here at Mount Hebron, for example, there's already a buzzer system installed. The actual installation of our buzzer system at our remaining schools begins today and will conclude in just over the next several months. With this system, front office staff will be trained on how to safely allow access to visitors and be sure that every visitor follows the process for signing in through our lobby guard system. Our school resource officers, let me talk about that for a moment. Our school resource officers have served a critical role, not only by acting as a highly trained security professional, but becoming a positive presence in each one of our schools. Having a school resource officer in a building is absolutely critical to maintaining a safe and secure environment because they are trained and able to respond quickly to threats. And let me make this personal. Many of you know that I served as the superintendent of St. Mary's County for 9 years, where the tragic event occurred last week at Great Mills High School. I know those individuals. I know those students, and it was too close to home. One more senseless act of violence, but understand that the SRO responded quickly and prevented other tragedy from happening. And that quick response right there on the scene is irreplaceable in terms of saving lives. These are our kids, and we must do everything that we can to leverage every resource possible to keep them safe. Our SROs and every officer who serves our schools act in many ways as mentors to our children. They are serving there as individuals who are communicating with our young people every day and responding at that level. Just as our partnership with the Howard County Fire and Rescue serves to help our children feel safe and understand the role of our brave firefighters, the presence of police officers as mentors and role models in our buildings make them a critical part of the safety of our total school environment. Kevin Burnett serves as our Howard County security coordinator for our school system, and his collaboration with the police provides seamless response when police must be activated. In other parts of the country, there have been instances of bias that have hurt police-community relations. We are fortunate to have SROs building deep connections in our communities that they serve, and our police officers are doing a tremendous job of getting to know our staff, students, and communities. We've also integrated, and this is significant, we've also integrated the work being done by Dr. Kevin Gilbert, our Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, to provide trainings for our SROs around restorative practices and integrating them into the community and student voice circles. We are listening to our students and being responsive to their needs. We also know that safety is more than the physical security of our buildings. Dr. Kevin Gilbert, the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, will be implementing efforts such as cultural proficiency training, system-wide understanding of how to deliver services, and supports in an equitable manner across our county. Howard County has always been a county that has embraced diversity and acceptance, and Kevin's team is ingraining that into the work of which his system staff is doing every day. Our work continues. The Office of Safety and Security, which we now have, is led by Mr. Tom McNeil in advancing a very comprehensive safety and security plan system-wide at each school. Simply put, we have ramped up all of our efforts, all arrows pointing in the right direction to keep our schools safe. Police are collaborating with school administrators and operations staff to evaluate each building's security measures and making improvements, tangible improvements, not just waiting, but doing that now. Front office staff are following best practices when admitting guests into their building and leveraging the lobby guard system to identify them and documenting their visits. We only want individuals in our school who have business in our school on behalf of our children. These are sacred places in our community, and we must do everything that we can to keep our children safe. Student service staff in each building are making efforts to better identify students who may need additional supports and then working with families and community partners to provide these supports. Again, I want to thank our county executive for advancing the funds to make this happen as he is announcing that in his plan. The chief of police, who is a fine individual as far as leadership for our county and a great partner in terms of the work that occurs, and the fine citizens of Howard County for all your efforts on behalf of our students and staff. And let me just reiterate, see, I went to school to become a teacher. And it wasn't a priority back in those days of training to get extensive training in keeping kids safe and disciplined. But as the years have progressed, that became an equal level as far as education and then keeping children safe equally. But I want to tell you in 2018, my philosophy has completely changed, that we must do everything that we can first and foremost to keep children safe before a quality educational experience can occur. And everybody in our community, in our Howard County community, must be a part of that, because the community that takes care of our children and our staff is where I want to be, and what we want to do. It defines the quality of who we are as the people of the great county, Howard. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Martirano. And if I could just add, my daughter's a teacher in Howard County. My wife is a teacher in Montgomery County. I want teachers to be teachers. I want teachers to do what they were trained to do, to care for our kids and to help them excel. Teachers shouldn't have to be worried about providing the security for a school. Our teachers shouldn't be armed. Our teachers should focus on what they've been trained to do, and that's why it's so important that we have the school resource officers in the buildings and we have these security measures going forward. And lastly, before I bring the chief up, this is going to take a cultural change. My son was telling me the other day, now he just graduated from Glenelg last year, but he told me, I'd be in the gym, Dad, and I hear a bang, 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 bang at the door outside, and we just open it up. There's no window there. They have no idea who's outside. We've got to change that. We've got to help kids to understand you don't open a door, for sure, when you don't know who's outside, but you shouldn't open it all. You should yell out, go around to the front. Go around to the front. And we cannot have teachers or students putting rocks indoors so that they keep it open so that they go out to their car, they can run back in. We can't do that. We got to change. We could have done that maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago. We can't do that anymore. We've got to have our whole community change the way we look at this. Because as Dr. Martirano says, there's nothing more important than keeping our kids safe. With that, I will bring up now our Chief of Police, Gary Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive, and thank you also, Dr. Martirano, for the strong partnership that we have with the school system today. We've continued to build upon that relationship over the years, and I must say, I'm in my 35th year as a police officer in this county, and I've worked with the school system as a police officer, as a sergeant on the road, interacting with principals and staff when there's an issue, and that was before school resource officers. And it was a big burden on the part of our road officers at that time occasionally. And having those SROs in school have been a great benefit to this agency, to the schools, and to this community. So thank you, sir, for that commitment and also for your leadership and the partnership that we have, not only with you, but also with your staff, Tom McNeil and Kevin Burnett, that we've worked with over the years. Thank you all very much. And I just want to mention, we also have, speaking of SROs, the school SRO here for Mount Hebron, Jason DeSerbo, is here with us. Jason, thank you for being here. We have a number of other officers I'm going to talk about in a minute. The executive, first of all, thank you for expanding the middle school SRO program that we started in 2012. That was in response to the horrible incident we had in Sandy Hook, expanding those SROs to the middle schools. We started out with 3. We have since tried several times to seek grant funding for additional positions and have been unsuccessful. So it's a great day here in Howard County knowing that we are going to expand our services in other middle schools, and will continue the following year. Over the past couple of weeks and after the community forum, we've been in discussions with school security and preparedness, Dr. Monterano's staff, the county executive, and we've been talking about other ways during the interim that we can provide safety and security to school students and staff members. So I just want to mention a couple things that we're going to do in the interim while we are waiting for the ability to hire those additional SROs in schools. First, in order to enhance visibility and security and build relationships in the schools, we've had a mandatory foot patrol program in patrol. That started many years ago under Chief Jim Roby as part of our community policing plan that mandated officers had to do 2 foot patrols in their beat. And we are now expanding that to include schools. So the role here is for our road officers in their beats. They've all been given the information on all the schools, public and private, that are in their beat, to make at least one check per day of going in, checking in with school administration staff, getting to know them. Also, if time allows, walking in the school, interacting with students, building those relationships, and if time permits, also to even have lunch with the students. This is not something new. This is some things that officers have done on their own in the past, but this is now just formalizing that program. And with us today, we have 2 people from the road. Sergeant Terrence Ben, who's here with us today. He is a road supervisor, along with Officer Matt Shiplett. And that's an example of what we will have going out into our schools, making those foot patrols. And thank you both for being here today. But I just want to emphasize, this is about interaction with staff, interaction with students in a positive way, not policing the school in the hallways. This is about building relationships, and also it's about the officer in the beat getting to know the layout of the school in the event of an emergency. So a lot of times we rely on those SROs, which is good, but we also must have the interaction of our road officers, who will be the first responders in an emergency, to work with those SROs in going in to address whatever the emergency is. Secondly, we've also been in talks about doing some smaller scale drills with those beat officers in the schools that they patrol. So right now, as you all know, about a month ago, we had a full-scale exercise at the American City Building in Columbia. That was done jointly with our fire services, and that was also to test a couple of functions of not only addressing an active threat, but also in dealing with mass casualty situations and extraction of patients, and that coordination with the fire service and EMS. It went very well. But we're also continuing to expand upon that. And one of those things we will be doing when students are not in session in the schools, we'll be working with staff, the security office, and preparedness with the school system in conducting smaller drills with those officers that work that beat and the SROs in there so they're more efficient in the event of an emergency to respond. And finally, after Sandy Hook, one of the things we saw it as a priority was to enhance our capabilities of tapping into the video camera system in each of our schools. And we have that capability today. When we have an emergency, an emergency call for service from a school, the 911 center can activate the system, bring up the camera in which the reported incident is occurring, and provide direct information to the responding officers. It's proven helpful during school, and it's also provided benefit after school when we have burglary alarms. And most recently, after the Parkland shooting, we had an uptick in some reported threats that every jurisdiction around had. And as an example that I can recall, on my way into work, of a parent who was dropping off the student reported that there was a suspicious subject over at Walled Lake High School. Provided a description. The officer responding requested that they activate the camera system, and that information was relayed in where they saw the subject last leaving the school area, which was towards the tennis courts. That information is valuable to responding officers. But more so, we're now looking to expand that capability, and we're looking at ways to push that to the supervisors' cars in the field, so when they arrive on the scene for better command and control coordination, they will have that direct access as well in the patrol cars during the command and control situation. So we're very excited about a lot of these opportunities that we have. It's unfortunate that we are having to think this way. Our lives, our culture has changed dramatically now that we've had these active assailants and shooters. I'm sure that's impacted each and every person here, whether it's going to the movies, looking at where your exits are, going to the mall, and now certainly in our schools. But our schools are our priority today, and I think that we've made some great strides, and we're going to continue to build upon that. And I'd like to thank again the county executive and Dr. Martirano for your support. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you very much, Chief. And if there's anything else, anything you'd get away from this conference more than anything else is we are united. We are united in our stand to make sure our schools are safe, our kids are kept safe, and our teachers are kept safe, and that Howard County continues to be a great place to live, learn, thrive. And so with that, I'll open up to any questions you might have for any one of us. Anybody?
What's the cost estimate of adding the SROs and the supervisors?
Actually, you might have. I don't have that right now, but if you remember what it was?
We can provide the information later too.
Yeah, because you have to add vehicles. You have a lot of things of equipment as well. So we're working with the police department to figure out how we can fund those different things. But we know we can make that work. Thanks. Anybody else have any questions? Yeah, Kathleen.
When you say that you're expanding the middle school SROs, where will they go? What are the priorities?
Okay. I don't know if you. Yeah.
That will be something that we will work directly with school administration on what schools would be next in line for that. It's not something we would do independent of the school administration. We'd work together in deciding that
You
moving
want to know where
forward.
they are now, then that might be helpful to know where
We,
they are now.
we,
Yeah.
yeah, we can provide you that list of
Yeah.
schools that we now have, but we're now covering 6 middle schools.
Are there concerns that having the patrol officers at schools so their beats will strain their days and the amount that they're trying to do?
No, as I said before, since the late 80s, this has been a mandatory policy as part of our community policing philosophy here in Howard County. We want officers to engage the community, not ride around in their cars all day long. We want them to get out and conduct foot patrols, whether it's in a mall, a shopping center, a restaurant, and now we're just adding schools to that. And quite frankly, even though we're formalizing that policy, it's something that some officers and supervisors did already. I did it when I was on the road in the late 80s, stopping by Walled Lake High School and Harper's Choice Middle School. It's part of what the routine is. We're just formalizing that policy now.
Do you want to say anything, Mike, about that?
Yeah. Many of you know that I have served as a principal of a high school, principal of elementary schools, assistant principal of middle schools in other counties, and I've had that relationship with our law enforcement throughout those years. It's extremely beneficial, and assuring that when a law enforcement official enters your school and has that conversation with you, they provide information about the community that you typically wouldn't know about through other ways. And so that dialogue, that communications is absolutely critical, and the fact that our young people are seeing that in a positive light of all of us working together is also something of significance.
Yep. Anybody else?
How is the initiative being communicated with parents? I've heard some concerns about officers being there and that being scary or anxiety inducing
Yeah.
for kids. How is that being discussed?
I think that's that's a fair question, that we need to do a very good job of always communicating those issues, and we're doing that right now by enhancing that with our safety and security director, and then working with our principals to make certain that people understand that. But this is nothing new. This is just placing further emphasis on it so our community is aware that we're doing everything that we can to keep our children safe. And the major piece, if you remember from the forum that evening, was the major tool in this is enhancing the connection, the collaboration, and the communication between all of us. And this is something that has been in place for years. It's just that we're now acknowledging it at a more formal level and expecting that with the support of the encouragement of our Chief of Police and our County Executive. I think it's a very good thing.
Is that communication happening in emails to parents or town halls with them in schools?
There's a variety of ways, and I'll let Mr. O'Neill or Mr. McNeil talk about that later on, because we're looking at a variety of different ways of communicating that through our own communications internally, individual schools doing that with their principals doing it, but it's again not just an event, we're doing it ongoing.
Anybody else? Okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.